like, man, I mean, he's already a good hooper, but that was enough for me to be like, yo, we got to get this guy on the pod. But a great story from Burnaby born to overseas, all the way back to Alberta, playing U Sport, places like Hong Kong, the Philippines, Taiwan, Winnipeg, and now playing what from my observations, I've seen 4 or 5 Bandits games this year. A key contributor off the bench for the Bandits, good energy, can get buckets when they need it. I don't want to say we, although I am from the city,
Hmm.
but and also a great defender and a really good teammate. Really, really excited to chop it up here today as he just getting back and he's keeping me up late tonight. We have none other than Mr. Glen Yang with us today. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. That was quite an intro. I didn't only say nice t-shirt though. I said nice tattoo as well. I
Oh
saw
yeah,
the little, so I was like, this is
uh,
my guy for sure. But
you,
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well for sure. Thanks for having me on the pod.
you bet. Thanks for being with us. Let's just get right into today and like where you're at, how you guys are feeling. Obviously, so far having a great season, things going very well. What's the vibe like in the locker room? I was super impressed that, the one practice that that was able to come to, obviously KJ, a huge fan of him and just brought me in, got to watch film with you guys and Timothy doing all the pre-practice stuff with you guys. He's our guy. He works at the high school I teach at. He works with our athletes. So,
Oh,
um,
nice.
just seemed to be from just an outside perspective, a good overall vibe with the guys, competitive, but a good group. How you guys feeling these days and how do you continue to kind of stay focused on the plan, knowing that you've already clinched a playoff spot?
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, like you said, from top to bottom, it's just a great organization right now.
Hmm.
I think they run it super professionally, and I think this year especially they're going for it. They've kind of covered all their bases in terms of the staff they've brought on. Like you said, we have guys like Timothy. We have like 3 strength coaches basically. We have a mindfulness coach, my guy John G.
Yeah.
Um, we've got physio. We kind of have everything in place that they could have. Unlimited rebounders, which is nice for us too. And a lot of the guys today, like even I was talking to Diego, like we were talking about earlier on off the pod, but it's just a super talented team, players wise. Honestly, probably the most talented team I've been on in my career, top to bottom.
Mm.
Um, like unbiasedly speaking, our whole bench, 1 through 5, I think could all start potentially on other teams around the CBO. So we kind of have like a Kentucky John Calipari. Like it's a hard team to coach. Honestly, I look at Kyle all
Hmm.
the time. I'm like, you have the hardest job here because like you just it's tough to play everybody, but we have so many guys. We just added Mitch Creek not too long ago, who's another super talented, um, NBA caliber player.
Hmm.
And I think it's really, Kyle preaches it all the time, but it's just us versus us. So as far as we want to go, we will. So it depends on how we play, how locked in we can be, and how focused we can stay. But it's been fun, man. I've been enjoying it, and it's nice to be in Vancouver too.
Yeah, man, back in the city. Yeah, no, I agree. One thing I've noticed, I went to the semifinals when they hosted it last year, and just like overall, I mean, talk about Diego himself, right? Like that guy was getting mega minutes last year, and this year it's like a battle every day for him. So that says a lot just in terms of the elevation of the pool. I mean, like your guys starting backcourt alone, and then you bring guys like yourself off the bench, like you're saying, it's kind of scary for other teams, which is also a nice feeling in terms of takes that pressure off some other guys. Maybe if they're not having their night, they know that there's other guys that can step in. So that's awesome to hear, man. And we're looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season goes. How is it being back? Have you had much time? I know the Bandits have organized a couple little roadies for you guys. You got out to Squamish. It looks like you guys were somewhere in the North Shore today, staring at mountains or whatever it is. But it's been a long time for you. How does it feel to be back? And are there some connections for you back here still?
Oh man, I feel like I'm back home, baby.
Yeah.
I'm a regular at Kids Beach. I'm not gonna lie, I'm there all the time.
Yes.
I've been there. I have friends here. Guys like we've
Watching though, right?
mentioned,
Not hooping, just watching.
just watching.
Yeah,
I might have thrown a couple shots up there, but
that's allowed. That's allowed.
yeah, no, just enjoying the city though. Like a lot of good, good spots to go to. I love my Asian food.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the nature aspect. We've been up to Squamish as a team. Went to yeah, you're right, North Shore today. And just exploring, man. It's it's a different vibe than I was in Winnipeg last year. So bit of a different scene there in terms of activity wise. But it's been nice. A lot of reconnecting. I have friends here. I have teammates I've played with that played here.
Hmm.
So a lot of good recommendations and seriously just been enjoying it. It's been flying by.
That's dope, man. Well, I played at Brandon, so
Aha, okay. So you know
yeah,
all
so
about
yeah,
those
yeah.
those Manitoba winters.
Yes, sir. I sure do.
Cold. That's the coldest. I remember playing Brandon my fifth year,
Hmm.
and we couldn't go outside. There was like a freeze warning, and it
It's
was I think it was -50. And to this
legit.
day, it's the coldest place I've been on this planet. So
Yeah.
a lot of respect for you, brother.
Yeah, no, 4 years, man. It was yeah, it
Build
was
build
interesting.
some character over there.
I've never seen snow before Halloween, but I did when I was in Brandon. Well, let's get right into it, man. Tell us about yourself, just like a young pup growing up. You have an interesting story and why basketball sort of, as you kind of, got when that sort of started to come into your life and why was the sport that you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, man. Well, you kind of broke it down a bit earlier, but I've just been on the move, basically out the womb. So I was born in Burnaby. My family was here, and then my dad got a job in Hong Kong when I was 5. So we moved there as a family, and I was basically there till I was about 14, 15. My mom's from Calgary, so we would come back to Calgary every summer, visit her there. Visit her family there. But yeah, I was over there for like 9, 10 years, man. And started playing ball when I was around 10. Don't still to this day, I don't know Uh why I fell in love with it. No one in my
Hmm.
family played. I was a huge video game nerd. Uh played Warcraft, played Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, you name it. I was addicted. Chubby, glasses, all of that. Um, couldn't even walk straight, basically. I mean, I played other sports. Like I was playing other sports too a little bit, getting outside and all that. But I definitely played a lot of computer games.
Yeah.
Um, but as you do. But at age 10, my mom got my brother and I this really good coach. His name is Lap Hong. He was like my sensei, man, and like it was like a Karate Kid moment, like Mr. Miyagi coming up the smoke, and he basically just changed my life, got me in shape, just fell in love with the game. He was pretty militant, hardcore, but that's
Hmm.
so that's kind of how I got used to training and playing and all that. He would bring me to all his pro trainings over there in Hong Kong, street courts, all that stuff, and just tell me. He'd always tell me like you just gotta play against better competition, challenge yourself, and then so I kept that mindset, and I think coming back to Canada every summer, also going to the States in the summer sometimes and going to camps and stuff like that, just
Hmm.
seeing the passion and the environment, it made me crave it. So I was like, every day I was like, Mom, Dad, like, you gotta let me go back. You gotta let me go back. I gotta play high school basketball. I gotta play wherever I could go, Vancouver, Calgary, wherever. So, eventually they caved in. They're like, this freaking kid. When I was about 14, 15. So I went back to Calgary. Um, Sir Winston Churchill High School there, good, really good high school program.
Hmm.
Um, Grade 11, I think we were ranked like they did like the North Pole Hoops rankings. We were like seventh in Canada, stuff like that. So it was a good team, good program, and so I did high school there. Went to Mount Royal University in Calgary, played youth sports, and then I've been playing pro since then, 2019.
Yeah, man. And we'll get into that Mount Royal because I think there's some interesting questions I want to ask you. But how and why, like, do you think at 10 years old, being like just a gamer and like never really exposed to many sports or whatever, and you get this militant guy, do you think like there was something internally that was waiting to be pushed, or what was it that clicked? Like, did you just feel like you trusted this guy, or was it like once you started to hoop, you're like, wow, I really like what this game can offer me. Like that's because that's an interesting transition. You know what I mean? To just go from kind of 0 to 100. What's the reasoning, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, man. I think it was like that first shot that went in. I was like, I got that dopamine rush, and I was like,
Mm.
oh man, this is gonna. I could get used to this. And no, I think is growing up, I had a brother. My brother, we were super competitive with each other,
Mhm.
and we would compete. We would play all the sports. But I think because we were both in that, and I was starting to get a little better than him,
Sure.
I was like, oh, this is my thing. So
Yeah.
I could kind of lock in on that. And, eventually he stopped playing and I just kept going for it. So I definitely think it was that competitive edge. And just loving the game, loving every aspect of it, like just going out, the fact I could just go outside and play and shoot on my own and just get better at something. I think that's what I love to do. And
Yeah,
the team aspect of it, the whole thing, man, it's this special sport, as we all know.
for sure.
Um, so the combination of all that and yeah, just haven't really looked back.
What was the scene like when you were a kid in Hong Kong? Was the sport big at that time still, or like was it something that was easy to go to the park and play, or did you get your best kind of competition when you would come back and play in the city in Calgary and go to those camps in the States?
Man, it was an interesting scene. I got
Hmm.
a lot of I was fighting. So I lived on a university there. My dad was a professor and
Okay.
like I
I
was
was gonna
me and my
ask. I was like, a lot of people I've talked
yeah,
to, it's like, yeah, a lot of parents have gone and like taught overseas or whatever.
taught
Yeah.
taught
Okay.
there. Yeah. So I was
Yeah.
playing against like grown men and we
Yeah.
were getting we were getting into fist fights with them sometimes. Like it was physical. We were playing so in Hong Kong there's a lack of indoor courts and they still have this
Hmm.
problem. Because there's just so many people and such little land.
Hmm.
Um, so everyone's playing outside. And so we would play outside, street ball a lot of the time, and we would just play 3-on-3, 4-on-4 with grown men since I was like 11, 12 years old. So I think that impacted me a lot. That toughness factor.
Hmm.
Whenever we did get to go indoors, it was like a blessing. We were like, thank hallelujah. So like I came back here and I'm like, holy crap. Like, I really like didn't take it for granted every time we were playing inside coming
For
back
sure.
here. And like just the gyms and all that. But yeah, it was I think the actual scene though was definitely lower level and that
Mhm.
impacted me wanting to come back. It's gotten a little better there, but it's still got a long way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So you're in the Calgary area playing at Churchill. Are you going to like the Reb? Are you getting to go to the big tournaments? Did you guys do what's the other big one that's in the province there? A lot of the teams from BC come out to it in high school.
Um, there's the Reb in Edmonton, and then there's one called Brit that's out in
The Brit.
Yeah,
Oh,
Brit. Okay, yeah,
Saskatoon, right? Sorry,
that's in Saskatoon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wrong province. They get mixed up.
no disrespect to Alberta.
Shout out the prairies. Yeah.
So you're hooping in high school. When do you start to think to yourself like, all right, I want to play at the post-secondary level? And like you mentioned, you're playing for a really good program, so you're obviously playing in big games, playing against the best competition. When do you start to see yourself and think like this is something I want to continue doing?
I mean, man, honestly, I've always wanted to play at that level.
Hmm.
You know, like I was saying, I was coming back every summer and
Right.
like obviously so my favorite player was Steve Nash. I wanted to go to Santa Clara, all that. Um, a couple years passed. I'm like, okay, let's see. I'm coming back as a 11, 12, 13-year-old to Calgary and Vancouver, and I'm going to the UFC and the UBC camps every summer. And they ran great camps. So like I got close with a lot of the guys who were U Sports players at the time, like Jared Ogame Jackson, the Beckerings at UFC, and then Tommy Nix and Nate you were my coaches at UBC, which is funny because we were teammates years later.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I wanted to go to one of those schools, honestly. Those were like that I was like, yo, these guys are amazing. This is the highest level I've seen. Um,
I used to go up with Nate, Tommy, Brent Malish, Kev. We would do a camp in Penticton. So we would get
oh,
like
okay.
hotels or like rent a house. And Nate actually messaged me because I told him we were going to chop it up today. And he was like, man, I miss those days. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I was like in my third or fourth year teaching, right? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure between the casino and going out every night, I broke even. Like whatever I got paid for that camp, like I didn't come home with a dime. And Nate was just like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, those are simpler times, man." And then like,
Yeah, yeah. Life was good.
yeah, I'm like, Tommy, you got warm up today, man. So yeah, those are good dudes.
I think they were having fun too during those UBC days. They weren't always the most energetic in the mornings, but
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah, those were good times, man. Going to those camps. So I definitely knew coming back to Calgary, I wanted to get to that level. I just didn't know how it would look. Um, what's funny is I actually went to an MRU camp, a Mount Royal camp. I think I was like 13 or 14, cocky kid, and I was like, I dominated the camp. You know, all the best kids don't go to those camps. They're
For
playing
sure.
club basketball or provincial basketball. And I was at the MRU camp, and I'm like, I would never go to this school. Like this, I'm like, this doesn't look like a good school. I wouldn't go here. I'm too good for this. And then, you know, you fast forward later, and that's my, you know, my alumni.
No
Um,
doubt.
so yeah, it was a funny story, but I always knew I wanted to play at that level, and I just didn't know how I'd get there.
And what did the recruiting process look like for you? Because it can get funky. It's kind of quirky in Canada, right? Like sometimes it's, they wait to search, or it's just interesting. And then I want to touch on when you decide to go to Mount Royal or whatever. You come in at pretty early time in the program, transferring to U Sport, right? Like I played at Langara back in the day when Mount Royal was in the CCAA, right? And then because I'm old, they still were
Mm-hmm.
CCAA, and then they became like
Mm-hmm.
a CIS. I guess maybe it was CS when you played, but talk about sort of just for young hoopers out there that listen to the show, like you're playing pro, you're getting paid to play basketball now. What did the recruiting process look like for you, someone like yourself coming out?
Yeah, man. I think it was simpler times back then too, compared to
Mm.
now with all this prep stuff going on. But
What do you mean by that?
well, I just think nowadays like it's a different mentality. A lot of kids think prep is the way to go, and like you can't go to a small school and have success. I think that's a lot of the conversations I have with kids now is surround that.
Hmm.
And I'm not against that at all. I just think experience and environment play such a big part in what kind of player you become. And so I think there's something to be said for going, you know, going to a university program and just being in the fire your rookie year instead of bouncing around trying to be massaged or told what you want to hear.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I'm just maybe I'm an old head now and I'm speaking like this, but
Sheesh, talk to him, man, because you know what they think when I say it. So,
you know what I mean? So I
mhm.
rep it. People are like, oh, where'd you go? I went to Mount Royal. I went to a small
Yeah,
youth sports school. That's where I went. And this is what I'm doing now. So like I try to rep that and I try to tell them that that's a route you can take if you do
totally.
it the right way, right?
I mean, I
Um,
think we lose sight too of what 5 years actually looks like, man. That's a long ass time. You're
oh,
17,
bro,
18, you're 22, 23, 24 when you're done. If you don't take a gap year or get hurt or whatever, like
you're
that is a long time. And if
you're
you can stick
playing,
it out,
yes, you're playing grown men from you know, who don't care about what you've done in high school or they were you in high school. They did the exact same thing you did, and now they're beating up on you and they could care less. So, yeah, it's definitely valuable to be in that environment.
yeah. Yeah, I think, and then
Um,
we go down the list, right? Like, I mean, the U of A coach Barnaby Craddock, right? Like he played at Langara here. And then he went decided
mhm.
to go to Lethbridge. Everyone was like, Lethbridge? Like, are you serious? And then Dave Cook
Yes,
got the job there, and he was like an all Canadian. I think they were close to making nationals. Like, but he lit it up. It
exactly.
was just like you never know that and
It's
then,
all about fit. It's all about
yeah.
fit and what works for you and how you take advantage of that. I think, of course, there were times I was like, man, I could transfer to a bigger school. I could go. I almost went to prep school right out of high school.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. It just that's where my instincts and my people around me guided me to go to Mount Royal, and it just worked out for me. So, I
Yeah, that's
think,
what I was going to ask. What shifted there? So you're going from like being at a camp, being like, well, look at this bummy school. I'm not going here to to thinking like, yeah, I'm going to go here. So how does that mindset shift into that?
that's called getting humbled in high school and not being the best player anymore. Nah, I think grade. So like going back, I guess circling back, grade 11. You know, I didn't have. I was. I was a bench guy. I was coming into there, bench guy. We had a good team. We had like 6 guys go post secondary. Um, so I
Damn.
think, yeah, we had a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, UFC, 2 guys went to UFC. We had a guy go to U of L. Just all over the map. And I think it humbled me a bit there. And then grade 12, I definitely took a step up. I was playing, I was one of the main guys. Um, and just honestly, I didn't get the recruitment I had always expected.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. UFC offered me a redshirt position, but and that was definitely the goal. But my teammate Adonis Palomino, who were like best friends, he was the guy getting all this attention and all this from the bigger schools. It just kind of fit, and Mount Royal was just always there. They were recruiting me early. They
Mm-hmm.
Mark Dobell, he was showing a lot of interest. And actually cared about me and told me, him and assistant coach Ty McVicker, they would just tell me the map and what they saw for me. So I could, me and my family could definitely just feel the real love and the possibilities there. So decided to go there instead of prep and the other schools, and um, basically had to humble myself and swallow my pride a little bit. But at that point, man, I was just happy to get a real offer and be in a good situation. So I took it and ran with it, and it went well.
And it's kind of cool too, like sort of the backdoor ish, right? Like a young person who spent a lot of time traveling on a lot of planes, a lot of flights. You've probably been on more flights than most people have you know what I mean? By the
Too
time you're
many flights.
16, by the time they're 16, you've had a lifetime of flights for people, right? So, to be able to sort of play somewhat locally and help put a young program kind of on the map or at least become competitive is also a dope thing. And how were those 5 years? Talk about those first couple of years of practices, games, the level, the jump to that sort of U sport. The some of those roadies are tough, man.
Oh, trust me,
The
that Brandon
Fridays.
trip is a
Oh, forget about it. We got Uncle Bob reffing, right? Like it's
Uncle.
forget about it, dude. It's over, man.
Oh
Yeah, man.
yeah, oh yeah.
You land in Winnipeg, you gotta drive 2.5 hours in dead snow. I don't know, I think they reopened the airport. It might have been open by the time you were
It
there, but
was
that was,
open. That wasn't the
yeah.
bad one. We drove to Regina half the time, which was
Oh,
I
man.
remember my last game of my career. We
I'm
first
having a
time we make
flashback. I'm
playoffs.
having
Yeah,
flashbacks.
exactly. Take your time. It's traumatic. We're driving it 7 hours to Regina to play one
Oh,
game. It's a play-in game for our lives. My senior last game of my senior career. We lose it by like 6 points. Season over, career over. And they're like, yeah, hop on the bus. We got an 8 hour bus ride back in the snow to Calgary. I'm like, yep, this is youth sports for you. um, but yeah, I think no, I had a great time. Every year I felt like I just focused on improvement. That's what I was there to do. That's kind of
mhm,
how I lived my life. First year was a grind.
mhm.
Had a lot of seniors. Got in a couple games here and there, but that's what I was talking about experience wise. Just being there in the practices and like even playing 5 minutes here and there was huge for me going into my second year. So I always tell kids now, like what we were just talking about, like you can't replicate that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and then yeah, it started every game since my second year. We had a whole rebuild. Started every game. Played more of the two that year. Um, but I was doing that, and then every year, just incrementally, I felt like I was building my role, building my position, and by my senior year, I felt like I was one of the best players in the conference for sure.
Hmm.
What people don't know is that I can say it now, but I was going back in the summers to play in Hong Kong professionally
Ah,
With Nate and all those guys.
no way.
Um, using yeah,
Was
using my
Kepke there
Hong
yet?
Kong. Oh, he was there. Kepke
Yeah.
was there.
Oh, he
Nate,
was
you.
there.
Yeah, he was there. He was the guy at the time in that league. But yeah, I was doing that every summer.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
which I think helped as well.
I
Coming
can say
back
it
and
now,
just
he says.
I can say it now, the listeners can hear it. There's no clearinghouse on us, but yeah, that's what was going on.
Amazing. So in your 5 year span, like what's the work ethic like? Are you like up early for a lift? get some shots up? Are you a post practice guy? Like what's your routine? Are you a routine guy at all at this time? Or are you kind of just like a college kid sort of hooping and figuring it out each day?
Man, I'll never forget. We had a shooting gun at Mount Rowe, and I don't know if all shooting guns have this, but I remember my first year I looked at it, and I worked hard in high school and coming up, like everyone does. I think I definitely worked a little more than others.
Sure.
But I think there was definitely room to improve on that. And my first year, I'm looking at this shooting machine, and there's a little badge on the front, and it says, "Warning: extended use may change your life." And I'm like, oh shoot, this is a sign. And so that was my best friend, man. That shooting gun, the coaches, the Mount Royal facilities. Like I was definitely a routine guy. I was in there early mornings, late nights, skipping my classes, all that.
Sheesh.
Um, getting everything done though. But
Yeah, hey,
basketball was
hey.
definitely the focus, man. Like I was locked in, bro. And so I felt like I was definitely working hard at times though that and I think this is a small school problem and
Mm,
I just felt like a lot of my teammates maybe weren't on the same page as me
mm,
work wise or just focus wise. I don't know how many guys really wanted to play pro or to compete for championships um like I did. And
mm,
so I think that definitely caused frustration a lot of the time.
mm,
Just being the only guy in there working, or only a couple guys in there working, not having the whole team. Whereas I knew across the across the river over there at Calgary, there were guys working all the time,
mm,
and which is why we never really got over the hump as a program. I think we made small improvements, but it was never what it was supposed to be. Um, so, but that I think that added to my fire of like wanting to be at Mount Royal and like really, really put them on the map just because, you know, I felt like I was it's such a big part of me. I
mm.
invested so much there. I was like, I need to see this through.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. And props to you for that, man. I think you touched on it already, but just sort of there are opportunities where maybe you could have just crossed the river or whatever, but you stuck it out. And I think once you kind of move on from hoops playing, at least you'll look back and be thankful for keeping those decisions tight. Um, you mentioned it already, but like, are you a freshman at Mount Royal thinking I want to play pro? Like, is it because you've had seen the overseas kind of thing that you already have it in your mind, or when does the agent come around? What's that conversation, and when do you figure that out? Because you're not as old head as me, but overseas at this time it's common, but it's still sort of there's some gray area,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
there's still a little iffy. It's definitely a
Hmm.
little iffy. Um, yeah, I think it was always on my mind though, honestly. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know how it was gonna look or what it was gonna look like, but I just had it. I was a dumb kid with big dreams that thought I could do everything, and
Nothing wrong with
wasn't.
that.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna take no for an answer. Maybe I rubbed people the wrong way at times, but during those times, but I feel like I was just always trying to reach my goals, man, and like um I didn't know how that would look. I think as I started playing in Hong Kong and talking to these people and there were a couple guys from MRU that went, you know, played in Europe. Definitely I saw the UFC guys more
Hmm.
going, and so that was motivation for sure, seeing some of those guys that I had connections with too,
Hmm.
going over there. But yeah, I think every year it seemed more and more real. I try not to think about it too much while I was playing. I think that can affect players too if you're
Sure.
thinking about, you know, I got to put up these numbers or I got to play a certain way. I think university's so pure in that sense of like, you know, you're just trying to win and do whatever it takes.
Hmm.
But definitely like towards my end of my fifth year, I was talking to some agents. I knew I had opportunities in Hong Kong always because I have the citizenship there,
Yeah,
which is huge in the program. I'm sure many of the guys have talked to you about that. You know, kids
absolutely.
listening, try and get a passport identification, citizenship, anything you can get your hands on, marry someone from that country, whatever you got to do it because you're not going to regret it and it's going to help you a lot.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. So I knew Hong Kong was an option, but I also had this assistant coach from Spain my last 2 years who also pointed me in some directions there, what led me to play there my first year.
Hmm. Where's
Yeah.
that connection coming from?
So he, yeah, so his name was Ivan Friday. He just randomly showed up on the MRU doorstep in my fourth year, and he's this guy from Spain. A lot of
Yeah,
connections there. He taught us the Spanish way of playing.
yeah,
The beautiful game, and yeah, basically after my fifth year, he connected me with some guys over there, some agents and some managers, and I was lucky enough to get my British passport from my mom's side. She's Scottish originally, and
yeah.
so that helped me in Spain. And basically, I was gonna play in Hong Kong, but there were these crazy protests happening at the time. So they were like, "Don't come here; it's dangerous." And so I was like, "Okay." Nate's showing me FaceTimes of people, police with gas canisters in the streets and things like that. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna go there." And
Yeah.
so I ended up going to Spain first year, lower division, but I was in the north in Coruña, northernmost point, and just yeah, had a good experience there, and played one more little stint in Spain. So that was my first year over there.
And so what's that like the pro ball, just in terms of okay, now like you use the I love the word. I use it when I compare high school to club, right? High school to me is pure, right? You're playing for a program, you're playing for your community, you're trying to win championships. Now you're getting paid to play ball. So instantly, even though it was lower division, what were some of the differences you noticed? Was it practices there maybe wasn't as much help side because it was like, yo, guard your guy, or like, the language
Yeah,
too. Like all
leave
there's
him
so
on an
many,
island.
yeah,
Yeah.
so many different factors. And did you feel comfortable right away because of your past, like we've touched on many times, just being a guy who's not afraid to just hop on a flight? Was it, or was there a little bit of nerves getting on that plane the first time?
Yeah, there are definitely nerves because I was like, man, I have no idea where I'm going right now. Like I don't have much like I have no background on this place. But and my Spanish is horrific. So yeah, definitely nerves. I got over there and I was in this little village in northern Spain. Nothing like I pictured. They hyped it up when I was going there. They're like, yeah, it's muy beautiful, like everything's gonna be great. Get
Yeah,
there, it's colder than Calgary. I'm like, oh shit, they got me. And but no, it was great. We played in a barn of a gym, for sure. I remember
literally.
literally the court broke one game and we had to switch gyms mid-game because the wood broke in at the three-point line. So things like that were happening. But definitely, it took a little while. They saw this. I mean, I'm not your usual import player as well. Just appearance wise, I think, especially in
Sure.
Europe.
Yeah.
They see this half Asian guy come in, guard as well, not super athletic. So they're like, what the hell? This is the guy we got. And so there's definitely those looks the first day. I'm like, okay, guys, like we'll see when we start playing. So like, I start playing, prove myself a little bit. But definitely the standard is different. It's way higher. You and other imports are kind of like blood brothers. You're looking out for each other, but you gotta look out for yourself. It's
Yeah.
your contract on the line.
Hmm.
The local guys have their cliques. They're not talking to you as much until you win. When you win, you're all best friends. When you lose, it's send the chino home. Stuff like that. But it was great. I felt like I learned a lot. Um, Definitely a different style to play over there. You have to adjust to. Um, but it went well, and I felt like I learned a lot. But it ended. It was right before COVID, so it kind of interrupted things.
Mm.
Being over there at that time. So
Yeah.
so
So
yeah.
that next phase, then how does that? Yeah, talk about that part of it. Because I was going to bring that up. I remember um, chatting with the guys that were in Hong Kong, and they talk up their own like experience with COVID too, right? And sort of you already talked about like the protest or the police in the streets and stuff, and
Protests.
like and
Yeah.
just yeah, how strict it was for some of those guys to decide on what they wanted to do, right? So talk about that. It's like you're just getting the ball rolling. You're kind of on an upscale approach. It's like things are going, here we go, and then all of a sudden this happens. So what's the next step there? I mean, it's so many interesting stories from people about this time in their life.
Honestly, I was happy because I was ready to go. I was like, man, I'm ready to leave this situation.
Why?
Um,
Just
it was just played out, man. I felt
mm,
like the team I was on, it was just we were kind of plateauing. We were gonna make a playoff push, but we only had a couple games left, and I was like, man, at this point, I didn't really know how serious it was either. So I was like, oh, there's this thing happening. The season's gonna end, so I think it's fine to go home. As it got
yeah.
more serious and it hit Spain, I was like, oh, never mind. Like this is severe.
Hmm.
I remember we had one game left, and the Spanish are definitely a confident bunch, and they were like, it had just hit Italy and Italy is in full lockdown, and which is basically next door neighbor, and they're like,
Yeah.
it will never come to Spain. Spain never deal with this problem, and I'm like, I don't know, like it's been spreading pretty fast, and then the next week our games are canceled, and they're like trying to keep us there to wait it out, and me and my Greek roommate at the time, we're like, no, we gotta get out of here. So I got on the last plane out of Spain,
Ooh.
out of Coruña to Canada, and
Ooh.
yeah, so that's how that ended. But it was interesting, but yeah, I think it was time to go for sure from
Yeah, that's
that.
fair. I
Yeah.
remember I saw Nate at the provincials because his brother Jordan coaches high school, JY, and he was like, "Yo, Mitch," he's like, it's coming, man. This virus, it's coming." And we were like, they were telling us, like, don't high five, just knuckles for the refs. And when they do starting lineups, he's like, "I'm serious." And then, like at our provincials, we have 4 tiers, right, of 16 teams. So there's like 64 teams in one, yeah, LEC. They open up the
Hmm.
whole LEC, like the whole where you guys practice. They have a banquet for 64 teams there. And Nate
Oh
was just
man.
like, yeah, he's like, "I can't believe this is happening. Like, you have no idea." And sure enough,
Oh, what
like,
it's like. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, "It's coming." And we had the provincials, and the Sunday after the BCs, it like shut down.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he was like,
Suddenly.
Mitch, yeah, he was like, "Mitch, man, you have no clue." It's
Yeah,
wild.
what's
So,
coming? What's coming? Yeah,
yeah,
so that hit me when I was in the Madrid airport because I was coming back and it was like a ghost town. Everyone had the masks on and they're running around. And I'm like, oh, this is getting serious. And then coming back to Hong Kong, we had to do 2 week quarantines,
yeah,
3 week quarantine in a hotel. In a hotel. So Chris and I are coming back, Chris McLaughlin, and we're coming back to play in Hong Kong. And we had to do a 3 week quarantine in this little 100 square foot um, you know, dusty hotel for 3 weeks, and we're like, oh shoot, this is hardcore.
so what is that
So
like? How do you get through that? How do you not like?
a lot of imagination, my guy.
Yeah.
You're making a schedule up. I'm flipping the bed up, trying to do workouts, and then we're going back to the gaming too. This is just a whole combo. You just whatever you can distract your mind with, you try to do.
Yeah.
But definitely, it made me. Before that, I always thought I'd survive in jail, but I don't think I would anymore. After doing that, I'm like, man, that's not a place for me.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you got an Xbox in your room in jail either. So was that the next place after COVID? You went to Hong Kong?
Went to Hong Kong.
Yeah,
Supposed to start the season there, and then it hit. Hong Kong kept shutting down and starting. They kept
that's
having these
right.
waves, so it was like the third wave came back because they were super tight. Like they would keep life kind of going as normal,
Mm,
but as soon as there were one or two cases, they would shut everything down again. So it was impossible to start a basketball season over there. We were practicing with masks on like everybody, and it just wasn't a good time. So they're like, okay, you guys can leave. So this is when I went back to Spain for the second stint. And I was in a great place. I was in Mallorca Island, but it was during COVID, so it was quiet. Um, and yeah, I was there until Hong Kong kind of restarted, and I reached an agreement with the team to go back there. And then that's when we started the eternal training camp over there in Hong Kong. We had like an 8 month training camp because things kept starting and stopping. So it was a whole long time without games, but yeah, definitely made you appreciate the game some more.
now, are they still paying you?
The team
What's
there, you
that?
mean?
Yeah.
No, that team is not. That team is not paying me anymore.
No, I mean like while you're there, like so is it
Oh,
because
oh, my
yeah,
fault. Yeah,
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 yeah. So
yeah.
you're under
No,
contract, you're still getting
yes,
paid. So even though
yes,
it's like
no,
practice, oh,
no,
games,
dude.
yeah.
We were living. It was a good life. I'm not gonna lie. We were just pulling up to practice, all the
Yo, man,
boys.
I know, man, none of these dudes want to come back, man. They
They're
don't.
there.
The
Oh, their
the
life
life's
is.
too good, man.
They're never leaving. They're never leaving. We joke, we say it's like a top league in the world because you barely play and you get paid friggin' some guys are getting six figures living in downtown Hong Kong, it's like it's a cheat code. But
I I had a
we were
FaceTime with McLaughlin like 2 years ago. He's like, I want to talk to you about teaching. I was like, yeah. So we chatted, and he was just like, I got off the chat. I was like, man, he's going back to Hong Kong for sure. And sure enough, like he went
exactly.
back. Yeah.
Every year Chris says, "Oh, I'm done." We're like, "No, you're not." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming back, boys." I'm like, "Yep, we're not surprised." It's too good. I mean, it's a great place. I don't know if you've ever been there. I'd
No,
recommend it
haven't.
for anyone. Yeah, great place.
Mhm.
You got beaches, city life, restaurants for days, and they do love the game too. So the games are packed. The level's not that high, but you
Mhm.
can you can dominate there, and they pay you well. So we were living like that, but with no games for 8 9 months. Just and shout out our coach at the time because he kept it creative. I don't know how I would do that to keep it
Yeah.
15 grown men engaged for 9 months like that is not easy.
No, no doubt, man. Yeah, this journey's wild, man. Okay, so the second stint in Spain, were there actual games actual happen though, but there was no fans? Like, what was that situation?
There were fans. There were starting to
Okay.
be fans.
Okay.
They stopped caring as much. We had to do the testing every game, so they're sticking it up our nose every game, tickling the brain. Sometimes a little too much. I'm like, you enjoy this, don't you? But
Relax. Yeah.
yeah, take it easy, lady. And there were starting to be more fans. I was kind of there on loan from this Hong Kong team. They were like, as soon as we start, you got to come back. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. I was playing second division Spain at the time, which was much higher level. Um, and we had a good team. I was, Pablo Lasso's son. I mean, his dad, who was this legendary coach's dad. He was their coach. Great situation. Um, but it just same thing kind of played out. My role diminished a little bit, and the Hong Kong team told me to come back. So I was only there like maybe 3 months, and that was my last experience in Europe. But I'm happy I did it. I feel like I learned a lot, and then I came back to Hong Kong and went from there.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's interesting. I mean, to get the experience was good. I mean, it sounds like it wasn't ideal for you, but I think, you know, kind of character building, and were there moments where like did they bring dudes in? You said your role diminished. Like was it like I've always wondered what that'd be like. You know, you're like playing certain minutes and then some guy comes in and you're like, I gotta pretend to like this guy,
you're like,
he's on my
yeah,
team,
you're
you
like,
know? Like it
you're kind of similar to me.
yeah.
Why are you here? And they're like, oh, they're just
You gotta
bringing
dap
me in.
him up. You're like, hey, what's up,
Yeah, yeah,
man?
yeah. They're
Nice to
like,
meet you. You're like, go for
they're
yourself.
like,
Yeah.
this guy's here to practice. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
he's here to practice.
We
Next
talk
thing you
about
know, they're like,
practice.
yeah, we talking about practice here. I mean, they brought in another point guard basically. Yeah, that was like some Spanish hero, local hero. And I'm like, okay, my days are limited here.
Interesting.
But it was a
Yeah.
different situation. I was there basically. It was through a connection. They didn't like that team at the time was managed by an agency, so they put all their own
Uh,
guys on that team, young guys that they wanted to develop and grow. And there were
okay.
like three of us outsiders who were not part of that agency. So as soon as all of them were there, it's like, oh, we're not part of this picture. Like they stopped playing us and all this stuff. So that's kind of like my first real experience of the business side of it. I'd say
Sure.
the
Yeah.
business of the game, which people don't really fully take in. Outside the NBA, they think it might just be business as usual, but there's the same kind of issues. So I was like, damn, this is real. Which made me appreciate going back to Hong Kong and having a real role and knowing what's going on over there.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
And just like you said, like regardless of the level, but you got the ball in your hands, you're playing, you're hooping, you're doing what you actually love, right? So regardless of like the pay, it's like I've got a role, I'm part of this, like this feels good. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
For sure, for sure. I did have like a couple significant moments over there that I was like, I'm very thankful for this because like I think they're just not used to seeing like like an Asian guy over there too playing basketball. And
Oh,
one
love you,
game
man.
I was it was love or
Yeah.
hate, I don't know, but I was playing one game and I was having a solid game. I was kind of going off and I just hear the crowd. It was an away game. I just start hearing them go, Chino, Chino, Chino. I was like, oh, this is different, man. I don't know if they're talking trash or they're supporting me, but um there are definitely some interesting moments like being in Europe and it's a different culture over there.
No
Great
hard Kate,
food though.
no
Great
hard
food.
Caitlin Clark fouls.
Yeah, a couple of those maybe, but that's part of the game. It's physical.
So then Hong Kong, and then just talk about like you know, the, I mean, I want to say that COVID was a long time ago, but it really wasn't. Like, holy smokes, when you're
It
talking
really
about that,
wasn't.
like, yeah.
It's a couple of years.
Yeah, the last 2 years for you, paying for Winnipeg, and then now you find yourself in Vancouver. Um, like, I'm always curious to this. So, talk about the process of the CEBL teams reaching out to you. I'm just curious how this works. Currently, are you in between contracts right now for something else?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. So
correct.
are most of the guys on the team, obviously not someone like Diego, but like are most of the guys in between contracts, or some already like is Nick already know where he's going back to next year and the team's like kind of letting him be on loan, or is it very unique situations? I'm always intrigued by this because I like what it offers, and I try to explain to people in the community or friends that kind of know basketball, and they're like, tell me about these CEBL, and like I try to explain it a little bit, right? But it's hard for people to wrap their heads around. And I would think like instead of just being in the gym shooting and trying to find some fives, like getting paid and playing at a really high level every day would be probably a better priority. So I think I like what they're doing, and I think it's only going to get better.
For sure. I always say like CBL is huge and I wish it came earlier. I think it's massive
Hmm.
for the country.
Hmm.
Really good development wise. Guys like Diego, U Sports guys, all the way up to vets. I think it gives you a platform just to play at home. Um, how it works, basically, yeah, honestly, in the pro game, multi-year contracts are very rare.
Yeah.
They're very rare and they're few and far between. So most of the guys will sign a 1 year, come play in the CBL. And somewhere in that period of ending that season and leaving the CBL, they're signing with another team.
Hmm.
Um, usually you would rather know earlier than later, but sometimes you want to be patient and see what other offers you're going to get. Um, so I'm in between contracts right now. I kind of know where I'm going next. There's a couple guys Zach has already signed. A couple other guys have interests here and there. So you kind of figure it out as you go. But sometimes
Hmm.
the CBL can change that too. If you have a great season,
Sure.
guys like Kobe on my team right now, I'm sure has increased his offers throughout the year because he's going crazy. They're calling him the Van City Mamba. Like that guy's gonna get an offer somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys like that will use the CBL to play to find out where they play next year. So it's a whole mix for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's great. And so let's say you know, knock on wood, you end up signing somewhere. What if let's say the Bandits make it all the way to the final? What would be your time frame? Do you get time in between that, or is it like on a flight and you're going back to play somewhere else? Does it happen right away, or is there any downtime at all?
Um,
Just
Again,
depend.
it
Depends.
totally
Yeah.
depends. There's usually you definitely everyone will get a little downtime. We finish the latest you could finish would be the 11th of August.
Sure.
Most teams want you out there anywhere from the mid-August to early September. So at that point, it's just how your bargaining ability. Like, what can you tell them?
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you need? What am I doing over here? Like
Yeah.
that. How are you selling it? So you can push it, maybe get a couple more weeks, a week or two more, but you'll get a little time off, but not that much.
Sorry, I'm loving these answers, man. Before we just find out what your favorite cereal is, how do you approach this mentally? Like knowing that there's something kind of waiting there, but you're in the middle of playing a key role on a pretty good, damn good team right now. Is the focus locked in on Bandits and whatever happens? Like how does that pro mindset sort of do you put the trust in your agent who's communicating with you and you just go and do your day to day? Do you get what I'm saying?
For sure, for sure. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
how do you put the head on the pillow every night?
compartmentalizing things, but
Sure.
you definitely try and group them all into a bigger picture and think like, especially being on a team like this, I think this helps me go into the next season prepared.
Mhm.
We talk about it like this helps you. Some guys need this to stay in shape,
Mhm.
and stay sharp, because the hardest thing is getting back in shape and keeping that blade sharp, and just staying ready because there's always if you lose a step, it's easy to get cut over there or something like that. It's cutthroat. So you definitely try and focus on this season. You let your agent do what he needs to do. And you try and let this fuel your next season and not lose focus and think about other things too much. But it's definitely a challenge for sure. Sometimes you get distracted and think about different things, but
For sure.
um, you try and stay focused on the main goal.
Dope. Okay, so I'd be remiss. I have to ask at least. You got to tell. You got to get. You must have one good crazy ass story about a game at some point with some sort of fans or some sort of finish. Like, you know, there's got to be something out there that if you're sitting around, having some hot pot with the boys or
Hot pot.
some barbecue and some beers or whatever. Like, what's a good game story that the listeners would love to hear that just was wild that sticks out to you? You got one?
Oh, I mean, there's a few.
Yeah.
What's the one that sticks out? I guess like Philippines was definitely the craziest season I've ever had on and off the court. We had a bunch of characters over there. We were all living in this hotel in Manila.
Oh
Guys
my
like
God.
Andrew Nicholson was on my team, a fellow
Yeah.
Canadian.
Yeah.
And we had superstars, Miles Powell. We had the Australian national team coach was our coach. They just a whole. It was a movie basically,
Damn.
and we
They
were
spent some
playing in
money,
the.
huh?
They spent too much money. That's why that team that doesn't has ceased to exist. But some guys are living good ever since.
I
We
love
were
it.
we were in the heart of Manila though, number one sport in the country.
Yeah.
Playing in the PBA. And we were just living the life. We were living 5 minutes from the top club in the city. Dangerous positioning. I don't know why they housed us there, but they knew what they were doing. Dr.
Yeah.
Wine, shout out Dr. Wine. And we were just living a good life, practicing every day. We made it all the way to the PBA finals, and we so in the Philippines, there's rumors that there's certain scripted things going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
And it's a 7 game series. Obviously, it's not always going to go to seven, but
Sure.
there were an interesting amount of comments in the pre-finals press conference about how amazing it would be if this went to game seven. Um, we end up going to game seven.
Okay.
We play in this arena called Philippine Arena, which is an hour out of Manila. It holds 55,000 people, and there were 54,500 people at our game.
What?
No, it was the most insane experience any of us had seen in our lives. There's this team over there called uh, Barangay Ginebra. It's spelled with a G, like Ginebra, but
Okay.
they're like if you ask any Filipino about this team, it's like the Lakers and Celtics and the Beatles rolled in one. Like it's insane. And
Okay.
we're playing this team in the finals, and we go out there, and there's just the entire crowd is against us. They're
Wow.
um they're all just going crazy.
Now they're doing this for the whole series. Like this is your road
No,
series.
this
No,
this
just a
is
one-off.
one off. Well, the entire season was an away game because we're playing. They saw us as this Chinese team coming into the
Oh,
Philippines, basically,
damn. Okay.
and
So you're like the Russian in Rocky.
exactly,
If he dies, he
exactly.
dies. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes, 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 yes. So we play that game, end up losing, and we can't get home for like 3 hours. And just looking in the crowd, we're like, oh, this is going to be a tough game to play. Just no supporters in sight, and just yelling. We were getting death messages. They were calling us dogs and all this stuff. And I don't know. Just in terms of experience, that was probably the craziest game of my life. Just playing in that environment.
Man.
Um, and yeah, yeah. And the fact that we got there and it was all seemed a little scripted and refs calling, there was some gambling going on, I think too. So I think
Yeah,
that yeah, there was definitely some of that. The dark side of basketball was over there, was going on.
for sure.
I think so. And yeah, anyways, that was just a wild experience.
Imagine if somehow you guys pulled out a dub.
Oh my God, the city, I think we wouldn't have got home. We
Yeah, I was
probably
gonna
would,
say it wouldn't have been 3 hours. You would still be there.
yeah, we'd still be there right now.
Yeah. That's dope. I love
Yeah,
that
yeah,
because I
yeah.
think it's those stories are great because I think we focus so much on just sort of, NBA or high level, FIBA, and there's so many great places to play and so many cool moments and opportunities for people, and that's dope, man. Um, okay, did you get a chance to read these questions, or were you too busy staring at the mountains today?
No, I read some of them. I read some
Okay,
of them.
okay. Um, Best seat in the house, dead or alive, what concert you going to see? You can have a couple artists if you want, but maybe you've seen them already and you want to see them again. Maybe you've never seen
Ooh.
them.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could bring them back to life. Maybe they passed on, and if you had a chance, who would you like to go see in concert?
Man, that's a tough one.
It is.
Bob Marley is up there for
Okay. You
sure.
you a big music guy?
Huge, yeah, huge.
Okay.
I'm a big reggae, Afro beats guy pregame. That's what I'm listening
Yes.
to.
Send me some
Trying to
stuff.
I got you, man. You gotta send me some
Okay.
stuff too. I see the shirt.
Is there Burna Boy? You like Burna Boy?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Malik Berry?
Yup. It's a good one too. Wizkid, all that.
She's a little
So
slower.
definitely
You like Thames?
Thames is
You know
every
Thames is?
day. Oh, come
Yeah,
on now.
I got
Free
tickets to her
mind.
show. She's coming in September.
Oh, I heard that. You guys get a lot of good concerts out here.
We try to. Vancouver crowds stink though, man. They don't get into it, like especially like I love hip hop and I think like I lose my mind. I scream, I yell. I think a lot of people are just so chill here, and I think a lot of people kind of like take it the wrong way. But we do all right. We get some good shows. Yeah.
I wonder why they're so chill. But I was at I was at a Snoop Dogg concert not too long ago. It was fun.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So Bob Marley's up there, J. Cole, favorite rapper. Um,
Okay.
and then maybe like Tupac or Biggie, man, just for a throwback, you know.
But both when they were friends. What's your favorite J. Cole album?
2014 Forest Hills Drive for sure. But I feel
One
like every album has been a hit.
This is what was it light? Was the album named Lights, Please?
Oh no, that
No,
was
it's
Friday Night Lights.
God, I should know better. So I take my
You're
wife
good,
to
you're
I
good.
take my wife to Rihanna, and this is like 12, 13 years ago. And they're like, and now up first we have J. Cole. And I'm like, what? Like I
No
had no
way.
idea, right? Like I just bought tickets. No one
Yeah,
knew who he
yeah.
was, man. I am like the only person standing
You're
losing
going
my
crazy.
mind, man. I'm like, oh my God. And then like fast forward, but yeah, he's
That's
dope.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, he's all time. I've
Have you
seen him
seen it?
once.
Have you? Oh, you have. Okay. Yeah.
I've seen him once in Calgary, end of August at a festival, snowing, and he came out and he's like, "I'm never gonna forget this. Snowing in August, like I'm gonna remember this the rest of my life." He's like, "It's cold as hell."
Hey, low key, the Stampede is getting some serious acts.
What? No, Stampede has stepped their game up.
It's
It's
no, I was trying
nice.
to tell my wife because she lived in Calgary. She was living in Calgary when we met. And I'm like, the Stampede is not like, yeah, but people literally go for a
It's a
concert series
festival
now.
now.
Yeah.
No, it's no joke. It's serious. Oh yeah.
I was impressed, man. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
impressed. They had Russ a couple years ago. I really want to see Russ. Anyway,
Russ. Oh, I love Russ too. He's
yeah, he's
big.
dope. Okay,
Yeah.
books or movies?
I pick one.
Yeah.
Man, you're asking some serious ones here.
You like both?
Movies. But
Okay.
I'm trying to get more books in. But movies, I'll have to pick movies.
Okay, talk to us. Do you have a couple go-tos? Is there something you've seen recently? Has Dwayne dragged you to the local theater to give a 5-star review or what?
Yeah, shout out Dwayne, seen DMs.
Yes, sir.
I'll always put I love Gladiator.
Oh, this man is an
Um
old soul. Are you sure? Am I, do I have any Asian in me? Are we not brothers? Man, are you not entertained? Let's go. He starts with
Come on now.
Gladiator. Come.
You see the new trailer?
Oh my God.
I have mixed feelings though. I don't know. Lot to
Yes.
live up to. Lot to
It's
live up to,
true.
man.
It's true.
My favorite movie of all time is The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. That's my favorite movie of all time. Um,
You know what? My son's only got camp from 9 to 11 this week, but next week he's full day. I'm watching Last Samurai again, man.
dude, hell yeah.
Thank you for bringing
100%.
that back. That movie was
Underrated.
oh yes, I agree.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
sorry,
Oh
this
yeah.
is your
Tap
episode.
in. Tap in if you
Yeah.
haven't. Um, American Gangster. Um, Dune, honestly, Dune and Dune 2 are up there too. Those are
Wow.
great movies. High level. So those are the ones top of my mind. And
High
any
level.
Bruce Lee movie. Rush Hour 2 as well. The list goes on, man. But those ones are all up there for sure.
Spoken like a man who spent a lot of time traveling. Okay.
A
This guy's had
lot of time on my head.
a lot of downloads and deleted downloads
Yes,
to
yes,
yeah.
sir. LimeWire
Wow.
days.
Starts LimeWire, shout out. He starts off with Gladiator. Well done.
Yes, sir.
Um, who have been some of the most important people in your life up to this point?
Ooh, good one. Parents for sure. Mom and Bob's. The guy I told you, Lap Fong, Mr. Miyagi, wouldn't be here without him.
Amazing.
And then my brother as well. And then I honestly, all my coaches, I feel like I've had great coaches that have steered me in directions, and my friends as well, like some of my best friends too. Just a good support system overall.
You ever had some
Um,
coaches that maybe you didn't click with, but you still learn from? It's like I had a few
yes,
like that where I was like, now I know being on the
what not
coaching
to do.
side. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. You can learn from everything. So I've definitely had some trash coaches where I'm like, this is not what you should right now.
Love it. Okay. This is always a tough one, especially when people are currently hooping, and you could take this any way you want. You can pick like your four favorite all time NBA. You could pick your favorite teammates, whatever. So it's you and four dudes, and let's say because you're back in the city and you spent some time. Let's say it's you and four dudes at Kits. So as you know, on a Saturday at Kits, you can't lose because you might not get back on if it's busy enough, right? So you want to make sure
100%.
you got the wind coming off the ocean. It's call your own, first to 15 or whatever, ones and twos. So who you rolling with, man? You and four.
Four of my guys.
Up to you. Yeah. You get to pick the team. But that's what I mean. You could go all time like NBA dudes, or you could just go like four dudes that you've hooped with in your career. Like, good
Oh
luck.
man, I might have to make two different teams here.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Um, we'll go NBA first.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Yao Ming at the five.
Sheesh. Now
Um,
listen. Now listen. I'm dead serious. If Vancouver drafted Yao Ming, do you not think we'd still have a team?
oh, Vancouver might have a championship by now.
The population here, like I remember Canada played China when he was playing. Who was the other dude? Was it Wang Zhizhi?
Yeah, yeah, it was
Were they
Wang
were they the
Jiji.
same? Would they have been on the same national team? I've
Yeah,
never seen Rogers Arena. I thought the roof was gonna blow off, man.
packed,
Like, oh
packed,
my God.
energy
And the energy was insane, man.
out of this world. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, they love them some Yao Ming for sure.
Dope. I like that. Okay, Yao Ming, let's go.
Yao Ming at the five, baby, second most dominant center of all time.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I'm living by it. I'm living by it.
Wow, it's 10:40 at night, but I would dig more into that response. Wow. Let's go. Okay.
Episode 2, we can talk about it.
Who's the first? Shaq?
Shaq,
Or
yes.
okay. Okay.
Yes, Shaq. We're not arguing that. Let's not
Okay.
be crazy.
No.
Um, Yao Ming at the five. I'm gonna go Steve Nash at the one.
Hard not
Um,
to.
hard not to. He's back home at kids. He's throwing lobs to Yao. I'll put myself at the two. I'm just gonna play my role, move the ball, get guys where they need it.
Yeah, right.
Um,
You shooting it, man. Who you fooling?
I'm
Okay.
shoot. Oh, I'm shooting it for sure.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be some guys on the team. I gotta get going. I'm gonna put Braun at the three, and oh man, Kobe's not in there. I'm sorry, I took his spot. But the KD at the four. So I'm going me, Yao Ming, Steve, KD, and LeBron. We're running it. Let's go.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Yep.
That's a tough
Yep.
team to stop.
100%.
And you
100%.
could put Katie at the three, and Braun could just bully some guys at the four too. Like, yeah, all right.
Versatile. Whatever
Okay,
you
so go
want. Pick
team
your
number
poison.
two. What's team number two? What you got?
Team number two, people I've played with.
Sure, yeah. Or you want
Okay,
to keep? Or do you
so
want to keep walking? Because people get worried about leaving people out, but I feel
that's what
like
I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
those that
You
know
know,
though, they're not gonna get. It's not like being not invited to the wedding. It's like I've slipped my mind. No
yeah,
disrespect. I
whatever.
love you.
It
Yeah.
is what it is. Get better. Get better at what you
And for
do.
God's sakes, if they've listened this far, God bless them. You don't deserve to be on the team. No, I'm just
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. No one's listened this far. But I'll,
Top three.
okay. Me at the one. I'm gonna go.
So he defers to Nash, but he takes the one for his own. I like it. This guy's a
Yeah, yeah,
savage.
yeah, 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 yeah,
There's some
yeah.
sicko in you. I like it. Okay.
Always, always, for sure. I'm gonna put me at the one. I'll go Miles Powell at the two, if you're familiar with him.
Yep.
Seton Hall, legend. At the three, I'm gonna put. Oh, um, just off of names, I might just make this a name so like people know who I'm talking about. I'll go Anthony Bennett at the three.
What?
Um, I'll put Andrew Nicholson at the four.
Yeah, you will. Man, that guy was
Um,
good basketball player.
and Hashim Thabit at the five. These
What?
these are all guys I played with. I'm gonna put these five.
You
This is
play
the
with
five.
Hashim to beat?
Yeah, this past year I played with Hashim Thabit in
That is
Taiwan.
so sick.
Yeah, yeah. Played
That
with
is a that is an
Bennett,
op.
and then they cut Bennett and added Hashim Thabit the next
I'm
day.
loving this. This is wow.
Yeah,
Some of those names.
some names, man.
That is so dope. I love it. Ah,
We might be
good
able to
dude.
run a bit with that first team. I don't
Yeah,
know.
100%.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a different game out there too, man. Like,
I'm canceling myself out. You know,
sure.
we're going for it.
Maybe you try a little harder on the second team though, you know what I mean? You're like taking
My
a little
my
easier,
role might be
yeah,
like exact.
right?
Who knows? Who knows?
You never know. Um, all right, if you're breaking away from the diet for a couple days, you're gonna throw on Gladiator.
You love the
What
gladiator.
oh man. What bag of chips are you grabbing?
Ooh,
Do you have a goat?
a goat bag of chips is Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar, ketchup Lay's, or honestly, I don't know if it counts as a chip, but I might go cheesies or some goldfish.
Okay, so very
My
not
bad,
con
man. I'm giving you options, bro. I'm sorry, but
no, I love it. I love it. No, no, I'm here for it. You got the tangy and the crunchy with the Vickies, ketchup obviously all day, but some people say cheesies. I'm down. Cheesies are a chip, man, all day.
okay, there we
And
go.
goldfish are fire. I have a 7-year-old, and my wife actually came home today from the grocery store and was like, "Eli, don't let Dad eat all these this time." So I just
Keep these
murder them,
away.
man. Yeah, they're murder, man. They're so good.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Solid picks. Solid picks. There's no need to apologize. Um,
Appreciate it.
do you have a hidden talent that maybe people don't know about?
Ooh, honestly,
Mm,
I can rap a little bit,
you got
and
bars.
I got some bars, bro. They come out when they need to these days. They used to come out a little more, but
Nice.
I've been known to have a little float in myself.
Okay.
Yeah, that and a quick little shout out for myself. I have a little clothing brand, training clothing brand on the side, so I would say that's a talent. Kaizen, go follow it.
Yeah.
Um, so that
Spell
would
it.
be my
I was
next one.
looking at it. Spell it for people though, so they can
K
check it.
Kaizen.
We'll tag it in the
Kaizen
stories and
hoops.
stuff.
Kaizen
Dope.
hoops, yes, sir.
Is that just like a little like have you always liked fashion or is that just like kind of an inspirational thing or like what made you decide to do that?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's totally a fashion brand. I'm trying to make it like a whole combo of things, but
Like is it
I've
kind
been
of
into fashion.
it's like basketball related kind of with the
Yeah,
gear?
I'm
Yeah.
the gear, a little content, trying to see where it takes me and where I
Nice.
can take it. I've been interested in the fashion game, but it's such a big part of basketball now too. I
For
think it just
sure.
kind of lines up, you got the tunnel walks and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, just going for that.
I was just in Vegas. I went down for the Canada USA game.
Oh, sick. How was
Shout out
that?
it was unreal. It was like a movie, man. Shout out Mike Bartlett hooked us up with some tickets.
Yes, sir.
A good dude. It was I've never been to an event like I knew the players on the court would be like a big deal, but the people that were there too, like Obama was there.
Yes.
They brought back like all stars. Did you watch on TV? Like they had the decade teams. So it was like
Right.
Patrick
Oh,
Ewing
yep.
to like Gary Payton to Melo. I'm like, there is a lot of people in this building right now. Like
The
it
whole
was,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, and it was just
Aaron
dope. Like
Mitchell. Aaron Mitchell's there too.
straight up, it was. You know what? It's hilarious. Someone stopped me on the concourse and they were like, "Yo, are you the guy from a Hoops Journey?" I was like, "Yo, man."
I'm telling you,
Someone
that
grabbed me.
voice.
Someone grabbed me a Michelob Ultra. But it was cool, and it was cool to see like Canada, like they were like they both teams competed, but you could tell where they were both holding back a little bit. Like the U.S. did not want to lose to us again, but
Oh
um,
yeah.
it was just like at no point was I like, man, they're gonna beat us by 40. Like I never felt that way, and I don't think I'm gonna feel that way. So it was
Those first 2 minutes, I was like, we're winning it all.
right.
I was like, we're good to go. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
we might need a five.
yeah, yeah. We a little small. We a
And
little small.
Wiggins might have helped, but
We'll
we'll
see.
be solid. We'll be
Got
solid.
just got to avoid him on this on the semifinal. Okay, two more questions for you. Not sure if you partake still as a trans as you're like becoming an old head, but what is the greatest cereal of all time?
Ooh, that's a good question, my guy. Honestly, I might put two answers, one A, one B. Classic, um, Honey Nut Cheerios, and then I'm going with Lucky Charms as like the one B.
Wow, the Lucky Charms.
Yep.
That's my
Yeah, I'm
son's
going with
favorite too.
Man, I have
I
the taste of a 7-year-old, I guess, but that's like
I mean, yeah, I mean, cereal's a broad spectrum. You can't just say maybe he has the taste of
right.
however old you are.
20
How
exactly.
old are you?
27,
How yeah,
27. Yeah.
27. So
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. I mean, as long as are you still drinking the milk out of the bowl at the end or what?
Oh, 100, no wasted. No wasted movements. It's going down.
Love it. Listen, man, thank you for doing this. It's been great. Last question for you. Who would you like to see on the hoops journey? You know the drill, you know the deal, but you're the plug. So who's out there in your sort of world of basketball that's got a great story that wouldn't mind chopping it up with me? But don't put someone on blast that you think is going to be like, really, really,
Hmm.
and then they're going to leave me on red, you know?
No, for sure. No one would do that. But I'm gonna try and get because you've got a lot of the guys I'm really close with. I'm gonna try and get Bennett, man. Anthony Bennett.
That would be a dope story to chop it up with. I never
Yes,
really
I'm a
felt that. I always had compassion for what that guy had to go through, man. I think,
100%,
yeah.
100%. Great dude. Still a good
Hmm.
player.
Hmm.
Just tough little journey for a bit, but um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit him up. I'm gonna hit up and see.
Let's go. Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
Love it. That'd be amazing. I mean, what a story. It'd be great to chop it up about. Thanks,
For
man.
sure.
Any last thoughts, reflections, as you and the squad go forward? I'll be supporting. I know a lot of my a couple of buddies, a couple kids that I coached that are in their 30s now started the Bandits podcast. Like, I really think it's starting to happen in the city. And I think it's, guys like Dylan and Andrew and KJ and all the work they've put in to create this team. And we wish you guys nothing but success to end the year here. And we're pulling for you guys. So thanks for being with us. Any last thoughts, comments, reflections before we let you go, man?
No, man, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Like I said, I've always wanted to be part of the pod, so I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you like Gladiator so much, man. That pumped me up. But yeah, anyone listening, support the Bandits. We really only have one more home game, hopefully, if we get that first seed. So 18s pull up. Otherwise, you might just have to see us in Montreal. But yeah, man. Once again, thanks for having me on.
You got it, man. So if you guys first seed, you automatically go to the semi. Am I hearing that right? Is that what it is?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. We automatically go to the Final Four, which is in Montreal.
Okay. Best of luck. Go to the website, get tickets to the final home game, cheer on the fellas, good dudes. They always do autographs after the game. They're a community-based team and they're supporting really good opportunity for young hoopers to look up to some real pros, just like our guest of episode 139. I'm going with you're getting triple OG status as far as I'm concerned, based on our first interaction, based on what I've heard you say, your journey, and then the answers you gave. You get triple OG status. There's only a
Trip,
handful of triple OG, triple
man.
OG. Yeah,
I don't even know what to say, but
yeah.
I'm sleeping good this whole week after that.
You,
So
you listen to the first 2 minutes of every episode. I bet you will find less than 10 people I've called a triple OG on a hoops journey. So,
that's big time, bro. I'm gonna wear that with honor.
an
You heard it
amazing
here.
episode. Thank you to our sponsors, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.